Good evening and welcome to the board meeting for the Civilian Oversight Agency Board. Today is February 8th. It is 5 p.m. in the afternoon, or evening, excuse me. We are going to call this meeting to order. Ms. Varela, can I get a roll call vote?
Member Calderon.
Present.
Member Bowling-Nance.
Present.
Member Oliver. Present. Member Newton.
Present.
Member Warmick.
Me?
Yes, ma'am. Member Warmick.
Present.
Thank you. Member Calderon, you have a quorum of the board.
Perfect, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? Let's amend it. Awesome, here you go. I need a member to make a motion. Okay. First, can I get a member to make a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Agenda is approved as is. Next item on the agenda is public comment. As of right now, there are no signups for public comment and no one in the audience as well. So we are going to move on to our next item. The next item on the agenda is going to be our discussion of possible action. The first portion is going to be introductions, and I am going to defer to Director McDermott.
Thank you, board members. So if each of you would just like to say your names real quickly if you wish, and then we can move on to additional introductions of the folks that are here.
Oh, Rowan Wymark.
Xander Bolianitz.
Aaron Calderon.
Gail Oliver.
Shamar Newton.
Thank you very much, members. I am the Executive Director of the Civilian Police Oversight Agency. My name is Diane McDermott. Also present is Chris Sylvan, who is a member of the City Council staff. Garrett Cornelius, who is also a member of City Council staff. Katrina Sagala, who is our Executive Assistant for the Civilian Police Oversight Agency. Lindsay Roseborough, who is the City Attorney's Office for APD. And Valerie Barella, who is our Administrative Assistant for the Civilian Police Oversight Agency, so that you know who's here at the table. We are also pleased to have Chief Harold Medina here, who would like to say just a couple words to you.
Yeah.
Members of CPOAB, thank you for being here today, and thank you for volunteering for the first meeting I think you guys have had as an agency. We look forward to working with you. I know that Executive Director has asked for us to have somebody from the Academy and from our staff here at all meetings, and we will ensure that we have representation here for any questions you may hear. I've always had the offer, if bi-yearly you want me to come out to a meeting, just work to schedule it. A little bit of update on APD outside of the DWI news, which I'm sure that we've all seen in the news. 2023 was a very successful year for us. Right now, the Albuquerque Police Department is in compliance with 98.8% of the paragraphs they're responsible for DOJ. We're working through that. We will continue to fix 3 paragraphs that we have left, and hopefully we'll be deemed in compliance. This monitoring period has that possibility, which just ended January 31st. Crime-wise, we had a very successful year in fighting crime. We maintained over 90% clearance rate on homicides. Just to take it back, when I took over chief, we were averaging about 54 or 55% clearance rate in homicides. So that's bringing a lot of justice to the families that are out there. We saw a reduction of about 20% in homicides, which is also a good victory for us. Although they're still high, we see a lot of hope going on. This year, we're doing fairly well through the first month and a half of the year with homicides. Robbery was probably one of our biggest reductions, about 40%. But we didn't just see reductions. I think we saw a lot of good proactive measures increase. When I took over as chief, we had about 24,000 traffic citations as a department. Last year, we hit nearly 79,000, I believe, traffic citations. That does not include the automated traffic tickets that are given by the city. So our officers are very productive. We saw double-digit increases in the number of felony warrants cleared and in the number of misdemeanor warrants cleared. Felony arrests were up double digits, and by all means, it was one of our most productive years in a long time, productivity-wise and crime reduction-wise. Auto theft, we fell to number 6 in the nation, which may not sound like a lot, but when we came back in 2017, on December, we were number 1, and we were so far into being number 1 that after the first year with the double-digit reduction, we were still number 1. So we've made progress of getting out of that number 1 ranking. And although 2022 put us at 6, we did have I think it was a 7 to 9% reduction. I haven't seen the final numbers, or I don't remember the final numbers. So hopefully that will even drop us further, as most agencies across the country are still seeing huge increases in auto theft, and it's one of the things plaguing most departments. In terms of recruiting, we've started 2 of our biggest academy classes in the last decade. We just graduated an academy class with 52 cadets. We started 54 more cadets 2 weeks ago. We're 1 week through the academy. We actually have no people who have dropped out. That was one of our big problems, is so many people dropped out. But I bring the philosophy to the academy that we should encourage people to succeed. When I went through the academy, it was very much about weeding out everybody we could. I think there are areas where people for non-performance could weed out, like OJT and their probationary period, but we've had very good luck in getting individuals past the entry PT through our pre-hire program, and our pre-hire program is really built-in team concept, and it seems to be working with the reduced amount of people that we're losing during the academy. Last area I'll talk about community engagement. We continue to have strong community ties. We work hard. Our ambassador program is an excellent example of something we've done innovative and above and beyond. And I know we have great success with the CPCs. Kelly does a great job organizing them. I try to attend 2 CPCs, 2 meetings per each CPC during the course of the year, where I give them updates on the department. I try to stick to those 4 updates: community engagement, crime, recruiting, and the settlement agreement. And we also take any other questions. Wanted to give time for you guys if you had any questions. That's kind of just a high-level recap of the department at this point in time. And if you have any questions, I'm here. Somebody ask questions? Nope. Rowan, nice to see you here now, from a CPC to the CPOAB.
No questions, sir.
No questions. Well, thank you guys, and good luck. And if you ever need anything, just get a hold of me, hmedina@sabq.gov, and Diane can send you my cell number later. And if you have any questions, or if you want, just text me your name, and I'll have your cell number saved. So you guys have a good evening, and congratulations on your new spots. Lindsay will also always be here to represent us legal-wise. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And then the final item for introduction, we just wanted to make sure that we made mention, is that on the Civilian Police Oversight Agency website is going to be the agenda for the meetings, so that folks from the public will be able to either attend in person or virtually. And it will, in general, be the 2nd Thursday of the month. There's some exceptions when council needs the chambers.
Awesome. Do you want me to go for the election, or do you want to go on that portion? I'll let you handle it.
Yes, thank you, board members. So the next item is discussing the election of chair and vice chair. So for the purposes of the chair and vice chair elections, the staff will take the roll vote. Once the chair is elected, the chair then continued with the meeting and will take on the roll vote calling. Since these positions are all vacant, since this is a newly constituted board, the election will take place this month rather than the normally prescribed month that's in the ordinance. So I will leave it to you, board members, to decide your nominations for the chair.
God, it is a hard push. I nominate Aaron Calderon.
Seconded.
I nominate myself for board, or chair, excuse me.
Nominate Aaron Calderon.
I also nominate Aaron Cotto. All in favor for Aaron Calderon as president, as chair, sorry. Aye.
Aye.
It is passed. You are chair.
Now for vice chair, Rowan.
I nominate myself.
I'll second it, Rowan.
I nominate Rowan as well.
I nominate Rowan.
I also nominate Rowan.
All in favor for Rowan as vice chair?
Aye.
With that being said, we're going to go on to our next line of business, which is going to be the delegation of a board member to the APD Policy Development Committee. We need to discuss within amongst ourselves who we want to attend that. Executive Director McDermott, how often does that occur, that meeting, or that chair committee, excuse me?
Thank you, Chair Calderon. So the policies and procedures development process for APD has 2 meetings that occur. They are of different types, but they all occur on Wednesdays. So the time is Wednesdays from 1 to 3. They don't always last as long as 3, but that's the scheduled time. The 2 different types of meetings are the policies and procedures meetings, and then there is the policies and procedures review board meeting. The difference between the 2 is the initial meeting is more community-based, more question-based. It's the introduction into policy changes. The Policies and Procedures Review Board is a more final draft where the board members, whoever's delegated to that position, will actually take a vote as to whether or not the policy should move forward into the development process, or if it needs further revision, it needs to be sent back. So it is a meeting that should be regularly attended since that is a vote position. So whomever is going to be selected for that should be made available for that Wednesday 1 to 3 slot. So just to give you a little context of when and what it means.
Thank you, Director McDermott. And that would be the same person for both, correct?
It could be the same person for both. If you wanted to switch it up, you are entitled to do that, but it sometimes for context purposes is easier to have the same person, but it is up to you.
So, what question to Director McDermott? When we're having the conversation up here, I assume we leave the mics on, or do we leave the mics off? If we're just having a board conversation between us.
Since it is an open meeting and everyone is to hear the discussion of the business, so if you are speaking, you should have your mic on if you're talking business.
Just wanted to validate that, yeah. I would like to do it, but I don't have the time this afternoons.
Yeah.
So my question just be how often? Is it every Wednesday? Is it?
I don't have the time for that one myself. I can guarantee that one.
I'm already running 8 days a week, but I'm willing to if I need to.
8 days a week?
8 days a week, you got it right.
I like that.
If the need is me, I'm willing to.
I would volunteer to be the board member to attend this meeting if that's okay with you all.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
No.
So no, you don't want her, you want to go?
I want Gail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just meant, no, I'm not interested in nominating myself. Sorry, Gail, I didn't mean to sound like that.
So you did nominate Gail?
I nominate Gail.
Second Gail? No.
Gail?
Yeah, thank you.
So all in favor for Gail?
Aye.
You've been assigned.
Okay,
To both.
to both,
And,
okay.
and Dr. McDermott, at any point, let's say it becomes too much, she can come back to us and we can reassign if we need to.
Correct. So if there is a need to either reassign or whatever, that's fine. It's not set in stone. It's not for a fixed term if it determines that it's too burdensome. So afterwards, then I will connect with you, Gail, Member Oliver, to go ahead and get the APD process rolling for you to get the proper invites and the drafts and things like that.
Thank you.
Needs be, I can pinch hit for Gail.
I'm sorry?
I can pinch hit for Gail. if
Yeah, I
needs
mean,
be.
there's always that option of substituting.
Yeah.
If it's for the Policies and Procedures Review Board, they just ask that there's like a formal designee. So if that's something that you want to establish as you being an alternate, we would just submit the correct memo to have that as a
Okay.
standing thing. So we can work with that.
Because I'm the one with time compared to the rest of you.
Retirement life. Well, that retirement life. So would we take a vote on as a backup as well?
It's up to you. It's probably not necessary for a designee as long as you have, an alternate, I should say.
Okay.
As long as you have the one.
With that being completed, congratulations, Gail.
Oh, thank you.
Establishment of committees. Director McDermott, with that being said, we don't have any committees set up currently, right? Obviously, we need to probably set up a policy and procedure committee so we can set up our rules and bylaws and the way we function.
So yes, thank you, Chair Calderon. So basically, the board, as a minimum, has usually established a policies and procedures subcommittee, and that's discussing the APD policy development process and policy recommendations of the board's initiation as a result of case materials or other concerns. So that's normally one of the subcommittees. Your next agenda topic will kind of talk about the board's policies and procedures subcommittee, but for normal standing subcommittees, policies and procedures is the standard. There have been others in the past, such as outreach and things like that. It is entirely up to you as to what business you think is easier to handle or best to handle through a subcommittee. But at minimum, I would recommend establishing a policies and procedures one.
If I move to establish the policies and procedures subcommittee, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With that being said, now we have to delegate and appoint. Is it two board members? Okay. Because,
Yeah, your establishment is going to be under a quorum, so it would be 2 members of you to be on that.
I volunteer.
Excellent. Would you like to volunteer as well? Or Ms. Rowland?
I'll volunteer.
So,
But that being said, Gail, as you're the person for the Policy Development Center, wouldn't it make more sense for you to be on this committee? Sorry to throw you in it, but you're going to be there and you're going to have more direct information. Doesn't that make sense, Director McDermott?
Historically, yes, the person that attends the APD policy development typically is on that subcommittee. It's not a requirement, but it does typically make the most sense.
Sorry, Gail.
That's a fine, I'm
Sorry.
fine with that. I'm fine with that.
sorry, Gail. She should be on the bus.
She did.
That's called volunteer.
Voluntold. So all in favor for Sharma and Gail to be a part of the policies and procedures subcommittee?
Aye.
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 Vote for yourself, yes. With that being passed.
So, Chair Calderon, I do have a question. So, and this goes to Director McDermott as well, is there are other civilian community subcommittees around the APD, right, that are more like what is it? Yeah, is that what it is? Community? Yeah.
Policing councils?
Yeah. Is that, as there historically, or should there be representation from this board at those smaller community meetings?
Chair Calderon, Member Boyance, yes. So the community policing councils have been incorporated to a degree within the Civilian Police Oversight Agency ordinance. So their policy recommendations, they have a subcommittee on policies as well, and they have been attending the APD development meetings as well. And so their recommendations actually do come to the board, and the board and the community policing councils collaborate to create a formal recommendation to APD regarding policies. So you as members wanting to attend the community policing councils is absolutely a good idea, much like they, I'm sure, may attend your policy in particular subcommittees or these regular meetings. The only thing you just have to be careful of for you all is quorum issues, so making sure that not a quorum will be attending those particular meetings. But yeah, there's be a collaboration between the two entities.
Director McDermott, is there a particular committee that runs out of all the CPCs, representatives of each of the CPCs?
Member Weimark, yes, there is a subcommittee for the community policing councils that deals with policy. They do have a subcommittee currently established.
Would it make sense for a board member to be part of that committee, if the CPC committee?
It would be certainly worthy of discussion, since their rules are a little looser in terms of the OMA. So I think they are allowing non-CPC members, but that would be something that we could confer with them on.
Okay. So you'll confer with them. Kelly, you'll confer with them? Sorry, Mr. Menza.
Yeah, Mr. Mensa can introduce himself as to his role.
Kelly K. Mensa, CPC liaison for the city. Good evening, board members, everyone else. That would be perfectly fine, I'm sure. We would have to change it from a working group to a committee, which wouldn't be any major thing because they are looking for more buy-in from the public. So I will speak to Lynn and Karen about that tomorrow.
I mean, it doesn't have to be me. I was just suggesting it as a way of, as an efficient way of doing it.
Currently, their subcommittee for policy is meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mensa, is Mondays, the first Monday of the month,
Yes.
from 1 to 3?
First Monday of the month, we were going to go from, what was it, 3 to 4?
Oh, 3.
Yeah, but we'll get that all ironed out.
Where?
Online at this point.
Okay.
You're interested?
Again,
someone's
I'm not
interested?
volunteering myself. I'm just-
Okay. We do have another committee also that we're trying to get started, so we'd love to get CPOA buy-in.
What's the other committee?
Use of force. Trying to get new use of force policies with the city.
Anybody?
I'd be interested in that use of force.
Okay, excellent. I'll give you more information as we get that going a little stronger.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would be, as long as we're not trying to get into a quorum, you know, we don't need undue quorums, but I would also be interested.
Okay, will do.
Yeah.
Director McDermott, just, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
To confirm for a quorum is 3 or more, correct?
Yes, you're a 5-member board, so it's half plus 1. So.
Thank you. Ms. Rowan?
Mr. Chair Calderon?
So for that subcommittee, or that working group, that will be a committee hopefully soon. Would you like to be part of that one?
I would, if nobody else does.
Ms. Gale over here is kind of,
I have enough.
she has 2.
I'm not going to pitch you into it again.
But then at that point, if both of you wanted to attend it, you're more than welcome. You're more than, you guys can because of the quorum. And then for the CPC meetings, I do believe that would be in the best interest of the CPCs as well as the CPOA that we do attend a CPC meeting, you know, as much as we can, but obviously with quorum in mind, so we have to decide more than likely which area.
Chair Calderon, I was just going to bring that up. It would be a good idea if you attended the CPC, the command area that you live in. That's easily established. Mr. Mensa can tell you if you're not sure which command area you live in.
I'm in the Heights, off you.
Then you're in the northeast.
Okay, yeah.
So there's multiple CPCs?
6.
6, okay.
Maybe even soon to be 7.
Sorry, we have to do the formal portion, sir.
Yes, come on.
Gotta get your steps in.
All right. The heights west of Eubank is northeast, and east is going to be foothills. And that goes to I-40. On the south side of I-40, it's southeast. All right. I see Aaron at all our meetings, by the way, at least 2 or 3 a month. Good for you.
I try my best to listen.
All right.
So let's see, you have the northeast, east, valley. You have southwest, southwest.
Yep.
Am I missing one?
And northwest.
Northwest, thank you.
What, sorry, oh, any ones on the west side for CPC?
Yeah, we have northwest, that's going to be north of I-40, and southwest, which is south of I-40, and that goes to, what is it, Coors. To the east of Coors, it's Valley.
Doesn't it go a bit further? Doesn't it go to city limits?
Yeah, I'm saying the valley goes,
Oh, we go to the river. I mean,
yeah.
the valley
right,
goes to the river.
yeah. But, yeah, it goes out to the city limits
Yeah.
where the county property starts on the west side, which is a zigzag map. You have to check it out. But we allow any member to be either, you can attend the meetings anytime, and I guess you can't join, so it's not necessary. But we allow any meeting to be in a jurisdiction they either live in or work in. So.
Mr. Menzer, perhaps you could provide the board with the chair's emails, the CPC chair's emails, so that we can introduce ourselves
Will do.
and make sure that we get on their mailing lists.
Thank you, Ron.
And if I might interject too, for the board members, the various meetings of the community policing councils are on the CPOA calendar. So you have the option of knowing about those things as well.
Perfect, thank you. So we have Shamal, of course, went to the Northeast Heights.
Yes, sir.
CPC. Ms. Dale, would you like to attend one of them?
Yes, I'd like the southeast, actually.
Okay.
Let's get me in, will you?
I'm gonna try to attend northwest.
I
Rowan?
wonder which one I'll do. Not sure. I'll be doing the valley.
All right.
I as well live within the valley, but since Rowan will be there, I will gladly take, let me do East Foothills. Just have not-
Foothills?
Yes.
Okay.
And then on Southwest, we'll play round robin on that one day. And try to figure out which one of us is available to attend the Southwest.
Yeah, we can team tag on that one if necessary.
Yes, I think, yeah. Can mark it in the calendar so we know who's in there.
I mean, we'll mainly be doing it online anyway. It wouldn't hurt to appear in person once in a while, but
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, all meetings are hybrid at this point, except for special situations.
I welcome the opportunity to work closer with the CPCs. The board in the past did not, so I think this is a very good sign.
I agree.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Topics?
I do have one for Director McDermott, is what other subcommittees, historically or with your history, background, professional opinion, could we also form, or are we missing something? So I want to make sure we're not missing a gap that's clear in front of us, but the experts
Yeah.
identify.
Thank you, Member Boylands. So historically, there has been a outreach subcommittee, and there has been well, personnel doesn't really apply anymore. It used to be a relevant subcommittee, but that doesn't apply anymore. I would personally recommend that you go ahead and establish with your policies and procedures as you already have, and then you can kind of get into the business, because you don't have to establish subcommittees just now. You can go through your work and decide, hey, it would be really useful if we had a subcommittee for this, and then just set that up at that point. So you're not locked into having to decide today. You can kind of see how things go. You might want to have a subcommittee for use of force. They had it as a long-term planning committee many years ago. So there's different variations of what you might want to do. I think, like I say, the policies that you've established now will go forward, and then when you, in your next agenda item here, presumably create a ad hoc committee about establishing your policies and procedures for your operation, you can kind of discuss about other subcommittees you might want to develop at that point.
Do you have any historical documentation around what the outreach subcommittee would do and kind of their rules that you could provide back to us just for information?
Thank you, Member Boyens. Yes, there's agendas and minutes that are available actually on the website that you can refer to now, and there's certainly more elaboration that we can provide if you want in the future.
Any other questions on that agenda item?
No.
Moving on to our next agenda item is going to be the establishment of ad hoc rules committee. Director McDermott needs your guidance.
Thank you, Chair Calderon. So the ordinance calls for establishing policies and procedures for the board's operation. The purpose of these policies is to provide enhanced guidance on how to be in compliance with the ordinance elements and standardize your conduct. An ad hoc committee would work with the director and the independent legal counsel to create a draft for the entire board then to vote on and approve, and then present that to council for their final approval. So that's just kind of the historic of it, and you can go ahead and establish, and again, 2 members could work on a draft. Ideally, if you're available during business hours to do that, that would be preferable, but we can work with it if members are very passionate and can only do it after hours. Work hours, I should say.
Perfect, thank you. So I move to set up this ad hoc committee on policies and procedures for the board. Do I have a second?
I second.
She is on it.
With that being said, who would like to be a part of it from the get-go?
Look at me.
Rowan, you have the most time within CPC. That's why we look at you. You've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I have things to do.
I'm not saying you don't.
Yeah, we're talking about
Solve our problems. I mean, I nominate myself for one.
I was going to say I could help with that, the ad hoc rules of the committee.
And just, well, we have to do 2 because now it's a quorum at that point, correct? Director McDermott?
Again, to avoid having to violate any kind of OMA, yes, you need to be under a quorum for your subcommittees unless you wanted to make it like a committee of the whole kind of thing, which is a possibility, but it would be easier if you just decided to have the subcommittee be the 2 of you and not be a full quorum.
Thank you. A motion to approve myself and Xander for that subcommittee for policy and procedures. And then from there we'll bring it to the board. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
With that being passed, thank you all. That was easier than I thought. I panicked a little bit right there. On to the next item on our agenda. For the number of appeal hearings to be heard at a board meeting. With that being said, Director McDermott, we haven't seen any of the appeals yet. We haven't seen how much work and entailment it covers. What is your recommendation? As well, how long do they typically take, or what in the past have you seen that?
Thank you, Chair Calderon. So there are currently 7 appeals pending. I would recommend, at least until you establish on your policies and procedures how you might want to proceed forward, at least using previous guidelines until the board establishes those. And since the citizens have patiently waited already, to just be able to move forward, at least using old guidelines that way. So the previous timelines meant that an appeal would take approximately an hour in the course of a meeting due to the timing of different parties being able to speak. And the materials would be sent to you all as the board as well as the complainant in advance so that you would review all those materials prior to, obviously, the board meeting. In a single meeting, typically no more than 2 absolutely 3, because again, we're talking about an hour each. So that would just be my recommendation, to keep it at least, to a limited 2. Maybe for your very first one, you might want to try 1 just to get the hang of it. It's up to you, but.
I have a question. Is it possible to do, say, like 2, but say with the stipulation, if it runs over maybe 90 minutes or longer, then we move to just 1? Is that possible to put something in there?
Once you've decided on the agenda that there is that one, you certainly could, like table it till the next meeting. However, do keep in mind that's an inconvenience for the citizen who is filing that appeal. So you probably want to, if, they're there and have said that they're going to be there, to go ahead and address it. So that would be my recommendation. If you're not quite sure and you want to get the feel for it, maybe for the first meeting, say you want to do the first one, which is, we would just go in order on the list, and then you kind of get a sense for it and then can up your number. But we just wanted to know moving forward if you wanted to start hearing them in the next month's meeting. And if so, how many of those would you, want to have prepared and have us alert the citizens to it?
Good. I was just going to say, with the knowledge of that they've already been waiting, I'd probably say 2.
Well, I think 2 or 3, I think would be good, but my question to Director McDermott is, what's the longest an appeal has been waiting? Because I think, if there's been like a backlog and somebody's been waiting multiple years, and there's like 5 of them,
Yeah.
What do we want to do? And so that's.
Basically, all of the appeals are coming from the 2023 timeframe, from when, the board was abolished and then, is being created. So it's within this 2023 timeframe that they have backlogged.
We give or take about a year. They've been waiting.
Yeah, they've been waiting.
I don't know. I'd have to look back as to when in that time frame. If it was, 6 months ago or almost a year ago, I'm not sure at this point.
Director McDermott, given the history of overrun, of sheer amount of time that meetings have taken in past board meetings, are we going to work on avoiding that, or are we going to be prepared to run over if we spend too long on one case?
Member Wemark, I'm not 100% sure.
You're not sure what I'm asking, are you?
Not entirely, but I mean,
working on
basically, the running of the meeting is, of course, up to you all and how long things run. In terms of the actual appeal, there are prescribed timelines that we have followed. So as an example, a citizen, the complainant would be given 15 minutes to speak at the beginning. The agency would speak for 10 minutes regarding its findings. The department would have 10 minutes to discuss whatever it wanted to convey to you. The officer, if present, which typically they're not, would take 5 minutes to say whatever they might want to say to it. And then the complainant would have like a 5-minute rebuttal. So that totals out to about 45 minutes. And then when you include any discussion and questions, that's why I say approximately an hour. You as the chair or as the body can cut off, if you will. Like if a citizen is a bit verbose and rambling, you can say, okay, your time is up. It's 15 minutes, which is what you should do, is keep it strict on that time frame. So it doesn't have to extend, but it is more within the board's and chair's control as to how much you go on something.
Without even realizing it, Director McDermott, you did answer my question.
Okay.
Perfect. I believe 2 should be our limit at the moment, just so we can get our grounding, to make sure we have our process down and we just know what we're doing, right? And so we afford enough time as well. I don't want to do 3 and then we do 2 and we get basically here till 1 o'clock in the morning. We're not doing that. I don't want to do that for 1, but
I was hoping for 3 a.m.
I don't. Yeah. I have to work the next day, but I don't want to cause an inconvenience to the citizen either, because we've told them to come and we're going to table them to the next month again.
Yeah, we can't,
Yeah.
we can't do that, especially with, if they've already been waiting a year. I can't get conscience.
I think 2 is responsible.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to move to 2 appeals for the next board meeting.
For the next board meeting? Oh, seconded.
All in favor?
Aye. With that being said, though, are we working on having only 2 in perpetuity, for want of a better word, or are we going to be flexible and maybe go higher?
Will you repeat that?
How Chairman can't hear me. With that being said, are we going to want to go with 2 in perpetuity? Or are we going to be flexible and maybe go to more hearings per meeting at a later date?
I would say we start with 2 and kind of see,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I think going forward, speaking for myself, we make the statement perpetuity, but we can always come back and put that back on the agenda. Hey, we're cruising, we're not here till 2 a.m. We can maybe squeak in the third depending how we're going.
Because at that point, Director McDermott, we just advise the team, and then we just get ready for the next board meeting, and they will be presented to us prior to that, correct?
Chair Calderon, so in terms of the ordinance does lay out when appeals are to occur. We have been conveying to the citizens, because of course the board not being formed, why there is a delay. So once the quote unquote backlog is cleared, then there is in the ordinance prescribed the timing of future appeals. But to resolve the currently 7 appeals that we have, setting with 2, you see how it goes. If you want to be able to move into 3, it will also somewhat depend on if somebody files in between, like how we need to establish the order of things. So it's not something that you have to decide right now, but I just wanted to, for at least the next meeting, if you were feeling prepared to go ahead and do it, so we knew to prepare as well as advise the citizen that their appeal time is now coming, so.
Awesome, thank you. I think we stick with 2, and then from there, if it goes good, we can jump on to more.
Chair McDermott, is there a history of any hearings taking less time than others? Any particular topic or complaint that takes less time, or is that a stupid question?
As they say, there are no stupid questions. However, in terms of the length of time, it is, yes, sometimes they do take shorter. If there is a fairly basic or simple complaint, then at times the citizen does not take their full 15 minutes as an example to give the initial story. So it is very dependent upon the individual. Sometimes a simple complaint can take a long time because just people have a more difficult time like articulating what they want to say. So it really just depends on the individual as opposed to any type of complaint. But again, it is within the board and the chair's control. If it was running over that time, that's why prescribed time limits are set, so that otherwise there are individuals that would go on for quite a long time. So having that limit is important to establish in your policies and procedures, which, as I say right now, we can utilize the previous guidance on that, which is what I kind of laid out earlier.
I would definitely say we stick with the previous guidelines.
Yeah.
And then I think as board, we just make sure, to prompt them and remind them, you have 15 minutes, maybe even 10 minutes in, remind them you got 5 minutes left.
Going back to days of public speaking in high school, is there like a clock or something like that historically you guys have used to be mindful of people's time?
Yes, Member Boylan, so we do have a timer, basically, that we do time them, and then we give them like a, either Ms. Katrina, Ms. Segala, or Ms. Varela could remind me, I don't remember when we give them a warning, but anyway, it's some kind of warning time frame that we give them that their time is almost up. So, and we do that for also public comment. Public comment time is structured, and we give them a warning that they're, I think it's 30 seconds into their time or something to be expired.
I think that'll help.
Perfect, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Moving on to our next agenda item, it is going to be a use of force case review. Line item for us to board review start date. Miss Director McDermott. Can I give some background, please?
Sure, Chair Calderon. So just to give you some information, so for 2023, there are 73 level 3 uses of force incidents that are prepared for board review. And currently 9 officer-involved shooting incidents have been prepared for board review. And when I say prepared for board review, what I mean is that there are certain redactions that do need to occur due to the collective bargaining agreement with APD. And so that does take some time to perform those redactions. But I've been in consultation with the folks at APD that do that work. And they had said that the 9 officer-involved shootings are available. There are 4 more that could be prepared relatively soon for those reductions. The item in discussion for tonight basically is to decide when you all as a board feel prepared to start that review process and what level of review you wish to do for the materials. So historically, for non-officer-involved shootings, the board had felt the minutes of the force review board and the presentation, there's like a PowerPoint presentation, were typically satisfactory to make some assessments onto those incidents. However, with officer-involved shootings, they've typically asked for the full case file, which includes videos, reports, more in-depth materials. So it is up to you all as a board if you wish to make a standing practice of yes, all officer-involved shootings, we want the full case file or not. You can decide on a case-by-case basis, but we would just want to know, have some direction moving forward so that we can convey to APD what to have prepared and to lay it out for the agenda for you. I would say start small on the initial of maybe 2 to 3 initially. Typically force review board, when the meeting I sit in, we review 3 to 4. So it does take, especially if they're fuller case files, quite a bit of review and discussion. So it depends on what month you want to start, if it's next month or if it's April, as to when you want to do that and how much material you want to get for those cases. So just some guidance moving forward of how much you want to take on.
Director McDermott, can I get those stats one more time? The 72, I think it was, and
So you have 73 level 3 use of forces, and 9 of which currently are prepared of officer-involved shootings, a total of 13. So there's 4 that have yet to be like properly done.
I would say definitely with the 9, any officer-involved shooting, I would say we definitely want the full case.
Yeah,
Valid, you know.
I mean, is there a definition of what level 3 use of force is, or do?
So the policy on use of force in APD does define 2-53, I believe. Ms. Roseborough could probably correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the definitions of level 1, 2, and 3 are laid out in that policy. And so you receive a sampling of the level 3s and then all officer-involved shootings and in-custody deaths.
I almost feel like we should do case by case, just because, you know, even though it's a level 3, it may be a little more serious, a little more detailed than some of the other ones. I think it wouldn't be responsible to just say, okay, we're only going to take the full case file, just the officer-involved shootings.
Yeah, I think officer-involved shootings, we should get the whole thing, and then depending upon the level, you know, the case of level 3, it could just be, we just might need more, you know.
Once we look at it,
Yeah.
right, we might request more.
Yeah, is that acceptable? Like, once we look at it, we can request more information?
That's fine. All that it entails is basically if there is a case that is on your agenda and you start to review it, and in the course of your review, you decide we want more information. So at that particular meeting, then when you have it on the agenda, of course, because it'll all be announced on the agenda, then in the meeting, you would just say, upon our review, if we all agree as a board, we want more materials, you just vote, and then the next month you would have access to the additional materials for that particular case. So if you wish to do it on a case-by-case basis, that's fine. And if you've already decided, kind of in the talking here, I'm understanding that at least for the OIS, the officer-involved shootings, you are intending on having full case files. That way, at least APD knows that we know that part's coming. So. And then the others could be sort of case by case, and it gives them the month time to, if for some reason they didn't have it redacted, to do so for the next month. So that's perfectly fine. Oh, I understand APD's counsel would like to say something.
I have the level 3 definition for it, if you would like to hear it at this time.
Yeah, sure.
So this is, excuse me, based on SOP 253, which is the definitions for uses of force, and defines all terms, and so that's where you're going to find a lot of definitions. 253. Level 3 use of force, any use of force that results in or could reasonably result in serious physical injury, hospitalization, or death, regardless of whether the use of force was unintentional or unavoidable, which includes use of deadly force, critical firearm discharge, force resulting in hospitalization, serious medical episode, loss of consciousness, or seizure, police service dog directed bite, 3 or more ECW, which is a taser, 3 or more discharges of an individual during a single interaction, regardless of the mode or duration of the discharge, and regardless of whether the discharges are by the same or different officers. A taser discharge on an individual during a single interaction for longer than 15 seconds, whether continuous or consecutive, regardless of mode. 4 or more strikes with a baton or improvised impact weapon. A level 2 use of force against a handcuffed individual, and a use of a pit maneuver 35 miles per hour or below that results in or could reasonably result in serious physical injury, hospitalization, or death, and use of a pit maneuver over 35 miles per hour. And just for the board's information, SOPs 252 through 258 are the SOPs related to use of force.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So just the question being is that which month you would like to start that process and how many you would like to initially start with to at least get a feel for it, just so that we can all prepare properly.
What I would ask is just, do we want to go through the appeals first and then start tackling this, or do we want to tackle both at the same time?
I don't know. I think tackling both at the same time sounds pretty challenging to me. But how would that work, Director McDermott?
Basically, you could say next month do your appeals and then have a projection on, say, April that you wanted to do at least one. That would give you more opportunity for those that haven't had a chance to complete their training. You would have more training completed by that point, which would give you a much better feel for assessing the force incidents. So that might be a path to move forward, is to plan on hearing some in April so that you have an opportunity to get your feet wet and get some more training in.
Your wisdom is appreciated.
I do want a clarifying question. If we are looking at these cases, is it, I'm picking arbitrary numbers out, right? Is it 2 level 3s and then 1 police-involved shooting, or what? Do we get to determine that?
It's really your choice as to how you wish to proceed, as to if you want to handle officer-involved shootings first, or if you're wanting to mix it up, basically. So it's really your comfort level and what you feel like you want to proceed with. You don't want to delay too long so that you don't have an extensive grouping of ones that are continually backing up, because to be relevant to the community as well as to the department in terms of your recommendations, the longer a review takes from when it is available, of course, the less somewhat relevant that the input can be. So it's just beneficial if you're able to move through it in a more timely manner.
I think it's important that we go through the officer-involved shootings first, if that makes sense.
Only thing I would say is, after hearing the definition of the level 3s, it sounds like some of those can be just as serious.
That's, yeah.
So I would say I like the idea of, starting with 2 and not starting until April. So like she said, we have time to go through our training and have a better understanding of what we're doing. But I feel like they all probably have the same urgency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there may be some that aren't as serious, but, we're talking about dogs and, mental health. There's a lot of things that could be at play with the level 3.
Yeah, there still could be a death
Yeah, exactly.
of someone out there that we're talking about due to the level 3, but it just wasn't categorized as a officer-involved shooting.
Exactly.
Which is something that I want to be conscious of. My thought is similar to go, start with 2, like 1 of the level 3s and then 1 of a police,
Officer
discharge. Because in that way, we're starting to get that motion, and we can start growing. Because to Director McDermott's point, they've been waiting for a year, and some of these are probably backlogged a little bit. We got to do our due diligence, and if that means some long nights for us, we got to do that. You know what I mean? but not, again, be too aggressive
Yeah.
to get our too far in over our heads.
And, yeah, can I ask a question, Director McDermott? Is this the thing where if we say today we're gonna do one of each, starting off, could we come back later and say, okay, now we wanna maybe do, 2 level 3s and one, if we see that it's not, taking as long?
Absolutely. This is not set in stone. This is just to get some, we put this on the agenda so that we could get some guidance moving forward of what your desire was. But no, you can certainly next month, if you want to bring this up as a discussion point of how many we want to do or how we want to tackle it, that's completely fine.
I
Just
like your
a-
rec.
Oh, sorry.
No.
Just a point of clarification. Other level 3s.
Yes,
Because officer-involved shootings are level 3s.
thank you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we talk about there are other level 3s, but when you say level 3s, officer-involved shootings, we're essentially talking about the same thing. Because they're all level 3s.
Right,
The level 3s, officer-involved shootings, are very high end.
right.
I was just establishing that for clarity of communication.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
And Xander, what you were suggesting is that we do a level 3 without the officer-involved shooting and an officer-involved shooting.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
I withdraw my previous opinion.
No, that opinion was accurate. That was accurate. We gotta take a vote for it? Or is this just?
I don't think it's really something that you require a motion for. I just, for guidance of understanding. So if, to understand, you are planning on having in April at least one OIS and one non-OIS of the level 3s. Is that correct?
Right.
Even one of each. Rowan?
That's,
Yes.
yeah.
We'll start in April and then one of each.
Sounds good.
And another point of clarification, we are only addressing level 3s overall, is that correct?
The ordinance specifies a sampling of level 3s and I believe level 2, but primarily level 3 is the focus for the boards. I'm confusing the last last ordinance with our current ordinance, so I'd have to double check. But it is to review those uses of force that you can provide recommendation to the department.
Any other questions, comments on that portion? Perfect. And on the use of force case review, we have a level of force materials provided to the board. Director McDermott, is there anything specific?
I believe I understood that your discussion was that you did want to have full case files for OISs, and then you would be taking a case-by-case look at the other non-OIS. So for, say, April, that non-case that is not OIS, we'll just provide the minutes from the Force Review Board and the PowerPoint presentation, but then upon your review at the meeting, when you discuss it at the meeting, you decide that you need more information, you can make a motion to request a full case file, which then would be prepared for the following month.
For clarification too, not sure if this is within spec here, but, say we get for the non-involved shooting, somebody sees something and they request it, and we request additional information after we get like the minutes and the PowerPoint, or is it possible to make a motion on an email and that can be a motion to collect in more information within like 24 hours or a couple of days of you sending it, the information, or does it have to be made in motion in the room?
Yeah, you won't be able to make motions on emails or anything like that. That would be outside of the guidance of OMA. So you would make your motions and your discussions only in the actual meetings.
So just to be clear, if we did read through the material, decide we needed more information, right at the beginning when we start, we could just say, motion for, or let you know we need more information.
In your meeting, when that particular item came up on the agenda, then you would say, upon further review individually, because of course you wouldn't have discussed them as a group outside of the meeting, but at the meeting itself, if the majority of you had decided that you needed more materials to properly assess that particular case, then you would make the motion at that time that you needed additional materials that then could be provided for the following meeting. But yeah, it all has to occur in the open meeting at the meeting.
Any questions, comments, additional comments? on to our next agenda item, which is going to be dinner breaks during a board meeting, just in case we're here till 3 o'clock in the morning. No.
Depends who's buying.
Right. Director McDermott, do you have anything on the dinner breaks?
Just that if you wish to, first off, decide to have if it's your intention to have a dinner break, and then if that is the case, whether you are wanting expend the funds to have an actual meal, since many of you do come straight from work, so there isn't necessarily a time to have dinner, or if, just say snacks and water is adequate. And the reason why we raise it is first so that we can put it on the agenda and make sure that the public's advised that, a dinner break is probably going to occur at whatever time. And then so that we can prepare budget-wise for whatever you're wishing. You don't have to have one, it's not a requirement, but we wanted to make sure that we knew the direction headed forward with what your expectations were.
Perfect, thank you. I vote yes.
Maybe to keep in mind at a time where we're doing a lengthy and involved, officer-involved shooting review, that it might take a long, long time, and to factor in the possibility of a dinner break then, if that makes sense.
What I would
Just say
suggest,
that every
if you
time.
have a contemplation that you would want to have dinner breaks regularly, you have that as an established process. And then if you choose to suspend your rule and just go through it, that's your choice as well. So if you think you might want one, you can go ahead and convey to us that, yes, we want to have that as a standard item. And then you can always power through it if you decide not to. Go ahead.
Chair Calderon, City Council kind of makes a standard that they always go on dinner break at 7 o'clock, so you might use that as a marker. It's not hard and set, but that's pretty much how long they go, and then they go on a dinner break.
That was going to be my next thought, that City Council always does theirs on between 7 or 8. Granted, whether or not they go longer than that.
That's
Depends.
yeah.
I think we should have one. Obviously, if we decide we don't need it, we just say we don't need it.
As a resident big boy, I second that.
As somebody who's fluffy. I think I'm for that. I also think that waters and stuff like that, I think would be very helpful if we're here for a long time, we might need some caffeine. And I'm not looking for, dinner or any snacks, dinner break, I'm air quotes, in the sense of I can do snacks, the charcuterie board, stuff like that. I'm using charcuterie, haha. But just mostly for water and caffeine, because I'm good. But I'm leaving that open to you guys.
I'm gonna say, because I could use the water right now, definitely water and snacks would be ideal.
And some caffeines,
Yeah.
Just something to.
And then just based on each meeting, if we're hitting close to 8 o'clock and it feels like we're wrapping up, then by all means, we'd be fine. But if we feel like, okay, we're definitely gonna be here a while, then we can take that dinner break.
But the logistics might be a little tricky,
Right.
because don't you have to plan for the food and the budget and everything beforehand? So we can't suddenly say at one meeting, okay, you kept running long, right then, we'd like a dinner break.
That's why we have Dion's.
Where's the food?
Correct, Member Wymark, we would not be able to prepare food for you if it was running long. So if you knew ahead of time that your agenda was looking heavy, you could alert us, well in advance, so that we would arrange to have, say, a pizza as an example, or something like that. But if your desire is basically a standing, water and, some granola or something like that to be as a standard, then we would know that, so that we would have that always prepared for you. And then if there was a chair decision at some point, hey, this looks like a heavy month on our agenda and we're going to be here a long time, please, contact Katrina and myself, and we can arrange to have a more substantial offering if necessary.
Water and caffeine, definitely.
Water, snacks. I think that'd be our standard is water and snacks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Katrina. I guess any shopping.
But I think also depending upon, as we learn more, we might switch to, we're kind of might need some grub, substantial, because we just don't know until we get used to it.
Right.
And again, I'd rather be prepared, than rather need it and not have it than to have it and not need it.
And granted, our agendas will come out a week prior, and I think that's more than enough time, right? When the agendas come out.
Yes, the agenda is at least 72 hours in advance. Usually you'll have a draft prior to that because you'll be all deciding what's going to be on it. So you can, just give us guidance at that point, but this was, again, just on the agenda so that we understood what your intentions were. I don't know, Ms. Segala, if you have any other thoughts on that? So, yeah, just communicate with us, and that's fine. I just wanted us to understand where you were headed for
Yeah,
it.
I think we're on agreement,
Yeah.
agreement
Yes.
of making a standard that we said water and snacks.
Yeah.
Or beverage and snacks, and then from there, if we need it more, we'll advise.
Back to the no stupid question thing.
I already answered one.
Thank you. The agenda goes to Chair Calderon or gets disseminated among all of us. We send our input and possible corrections to Chair Calderon or to you.
So a draft will be distributed to you all, and you would be communicating with your chair as to what business that you wish to add, and the chair then would be communicating with the agency to advise us of any decisions, since it would be up to the chair to decide what matters of business, and then would communicate. So we wouldn't be having multiple lines of communication, to just keep it clear.
Thank you. Any other comments, concerns, gripes? Cool. Making both of you, one of you. Sorry.
You still want to?
With that being said, prior to adjournment, does the team have anything else? We did mention the clean in the beginning, calendar. But again, just for the public, our dates for our board meetings will be posted online as well. But they already are online, okay? And as well, we'll be providing.
I do have a crazy, since we're almost there, bringing this up, I am one of those people that if I have an email in my inbox, I have to read it. I just can't leave a notification out there. And so with that being said, there is stuff out here that is backlogged a year, and it irks me psychologically. Is it worth trying to just, identify one of these meetings to just say, hey, we're going to try to, start, I don't know if this is even possible, start earlier and embrace that we're just going to have a long day to try to get these backlog items out.
Are we talking about as far as the level 3s or just the backlog from the emails?
Partly the appeals, partly the level 3s and the officer involved shootings. I think that's, I'm talking about it as a whole, like, and we can take one to try to knock out more than another.
I don't think we can change the start times because they're already set. And members of the public would be here at the start time. But I believe we can be prepared to run longer.
Thank you. Yes, so in terms of the actual meeting, that is fixed due to GovTV and all the various things in terms of start time. However, if there is a desire of the board, you can always, and we would just have to coordinate a special meeting. So if you wanted to have an additional meeting in the month to do either use of force or appeals, that is something that can be arranged to do. So that's up to the board if you decide, okay, we're going to do a special meeting and take care of all the rest of the appeals, or take care of multiple uses of force. Those are options.
And is a special meeting, are those dependent on any day of the week, or do we have to do it like?
Chair Calderon, we're out of line. We're actually on agenda item I for the, adjournment or I, right? We're talking about the dinner break.
We can, oh, sorry.
We completed the dinner break portion,
Okay.
and then a question was proposed prior to me saying that we're adjourned.
This was a pre-adjournment
It's not on the
question.
agenda.
Yeah, so we're not really, I'm just advising you.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
There's nothing like motion-wise here or action. It's just, since you asked the question, just giving you the advisement that you can do a special meeting down the road. But yeah, we didn't include an additional agenda item, so it's nothing you're going to decide today.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, it's just a,
But it's just,
For knowledge.
you asked the question, so that's the answers. We can always create a special meeting.
oh, perfect, okay.
We just have to coordinate
And it
that.
doesn't matter what day of the week it is.
We have to coordinate it with the various resources
Okay,
available.
yeah.
So if you decide, say, in March, you discuss, and we can put on the agenda if you want to talk about the potential of a special meeting, then we can go ahead and prepare optional dates and options. So, yeah, that just answered the question.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have we reached adjournment?
Yeah.
I want to do something pre-adjournment, if that's okay.
We didn't have like an actual other business, and I apologize, that was a decision I made, but it
Just an
depends on what
off-the-cuff
you're.
sentence. Just want to congratulate Director McDermott and cheerfully cross the interim off of the agenda.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yes, congratulations.
Definitely,
Congrats.
thank you. You're wonderful.
Awesome. So we're at the moment of adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
I second. With that being said, our next regular scheduled CPOAB meeting will be held on March 14th, 2024 at 5 p.m. Here in the chambers as well as online. Thank you. Have a great evening. Oh, all in favor for adjournment? I can't pronounce it. God. All in favor?
Aye.